Steven?
I think Shane Victorino in the Dodgers' mind, since getting Carl Crawford, possibly could be a rental because they got her at the trade deadline. They needed one more outfielder in left field because of Kemp and Ethier controlling center and right. Now they need a left fielder, and they really had a lot of guys since Manny was not on the team anymore, and so the Dodgers. I think Shane Victorino is a rental, or Carl Crawford, he's a rental, or the Dodgers are gonna have a situation coming into spring training in 2013 because now you got Carl Crawford who's gonna be injured. Now where we're gonna put him in the roster? We're gonna put him possibly on the DL, but then when he comes back off, what happens then? Then the Dodgers have a problem. Then Dom Henley needs to figure something out. Do you switch off the days for Victorino or Crawford? Do you split the days which they start? It's going to be a big question mark when Carl Crawford comes back next year. If the Dodgers will have Shane Victorino next year, it's a bunch of questions swirling around in the Dodgers organization now, with possibly Carl Crawford going to the Dodgers.
And here's a quote from Don Mattingly saying about this. It's just a little frustrating because you think there's so much more there. And I know James thinks that there's more there too. It's hard to have anything really negative to say about James because he's a great kid and he really works hard. He's giving us everything that he's got. It's not a matter of not wanting or not trying or not doing the work. It's just coming out. And the manager has nothing bad to say about James Loney. He thinks James Loney is a great player. But, if the Dodgers trade him, they're going to have a way better first baseman than they had before. And what's going to happen, Red Sox, well, they're still not going to be a good team this year. They're Bobby Valentine, he's not going to be...
He's a kook. How do you say that a fourth-place team in your own Red Sox are a playoff contending team when you're 15 games below, behind the Yankees? Bobby Valentine, you possibly heard this, but there's just a bunch of reaction about a bunch of statements saying, hey, from Red Sox players themselves saying, hey, we don't really like Bobby Valentine as a coach, and he's a kook right now. Like, I like Bobby Valentine in the past. He led the Mets to the World Series, in which they lost to the Yankees back in 2000, but it's Bobby Valentine. He's just thinking way too much. His imagination is controlling him way too much, and the reality is not there. And he thinks that this is a playoff contending team, but the Red Sox don't play as a playoff contending team. They're overrated, and they don't play as hard as they should be. If they played hard, they could be a playoff team right now. They could possibly be number one in the wild card, or possibly number one in the AL East. So, you look at Josh Beckett. Will he do good in LA? We don't know. Because he did so good the first few years in Boston, then he just fell off the map.
And the Red Sox actually just got David Ortiz back off the DL. And it's still not going to help. They're not going to get first. They're not going to even get a wild card. But David Ortiz does bring a lot to the Red Sox. And I think that will help him a lot. So, you gotta look at this. Bobby Valentine, I did read an article, actually, Steven, when you were talking about him, he said, the Red Sox are a playoff potential team. That was a joke. That was a joke right there to me. Come on, Bobby Valentine, get your head straight. You guys are not gonna be a playoff team.
There should be a show that should be called Bobby Valentine, a Kook Biography. And just telling him, just stating how bad he's been doing as a manager for the Red Sox this year. The organization, the ownership for the Red Sox should be regretting this decision. Unfortunately, Terry Francona, who, in my opinion, is the best Red Sox manager in their franchise history, leading the team to their first two World Series since the early 20th century. It's unbelievable how Bobby Valentine has really put the Red Sox under the bus. I really feel bad for the Red Sox right now with Bobby Valentine really not helping this ball club. The Red Sox last year were just lost a playoff berth by one day. by one game because the Rays won it on the final day of the season. Now, I think if Terry Francona was still manager, I think they could still be possibly a playoff team. But since he's not there anymore, unfortunately, the Red Sox are the team that they should be this year, and they should have been they should be possibly in the future.
Well, let's hope they're better in the future, but that trade can make a huge difference for that Red Sox team. And please, we have not seen a comment. Please leave something on the comment board. If you have any questions or comments, please do that. Or text the number. I did put it on the comment board at 650-678-7127. Ask me any questions, text me, or actually give me a call. Because I would love to see what your question is on the air. Now, let's go to another story here from Arlington, Texas. This was kind of a while ago. Scott Diamond, he was a pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, actually threw a ball at Josh Hamilton's helmet. That pretty much, what it says it is that he got a 6-game suspension. What do you think of this, Steven? Do you think 6-game suspension is too much?
Well, it goes by the situation. Like Scott Diamond, he's a pretty good left-handed pitcher. He doesn't throw it particularly fast. He probably threw it that 91, probably a high fastball. Like his velocity, he wouldn't throw it as really fast by Josh Hamilton. But I think that was a retaliation. That's what it says on the website right now. It's a retaliation, and so he gets tossed, and everybody just goes wild. And it's a 6-game suspension because he's only missing one start and he's a pitcher. So that's what Major League Baseball has been doing. They don't go by one game because the pitcher's not going to be it's going to be available for his next start. It's just going to be out one game. So that's why they put it at 6. It's not too much. It's just the strategy of what Major League Baseball does. It goes by the order of rotation, the 1 through 5 pitching rotation. And that's why they put it at 6 games. It's not a lot. It's 6 games for a pitcher is 1 start. So I think it's a good decision by Major League Baseball to hand him that. I don't think that was the probably the most smart thing to do. Really, it wasn't a really good situation. Hamilton was doing very good that game. He had 5 RBIs to end the game in the 10-6 win for the Rangers last night. So. I think that was a pretty good size suspension, and we'll go from there.
And we actually have something saying from Josh Hamilton prior to Friday's game. I don't think he was trying to hit me in the head. I just think the ball got away from him, but it got away from him, and it was close. That's probably the closest I have ever had a pitch come to me where I could feel it go behind the back of my neck. And Scott Diamond didn't probably even mean it. Maybe it slipped out of his hand, because I know that wasn't retaliation at all whatsoever. Diamond was ejected from the game after, hitting Hamilton in the head. He allowed 2 runs on 3 hits and a pair of walks in the 2 1/3 innings. And baseball, after all the steroids and suspensions, it's been really interesting what's been happening with these types. I mean, we see 50-game suspensions, and what happened is that you see Melky Cabrera, Ryan Braun, Bertolo Colon all getting suspended.
Hey, sorry guys. Just give me 1 second. It's just a little bit of a advertisement.
Yeah, there we go.
Robert, keep going. Your great statement.
So 50-game suspensions, I think it should be 25 personally, because if you're in a playoff contention, I mean, if you did something like that, I kind of understand why. And Ryan Braun should have served a 50-game suspension.
Okay, let's start a debate here. Let's start a debate because you brought up the subject, Robert, that it shouldn't be 50 games. It should be reduced to 25. And I don't think so, because when you sign a contract and when you come into Major League Baseball, you also have to sign a contract that is the drug policy. And if you don't comply with that policy, you're getting a big punishment, especially if you're taking PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, anything like that. You need to get suspended. You can't be doing that. You can't be ruining records in the baseball books. Barry Bonds, we don't know if he took steroids, but if he did, that ruins Major League history because he broke the home run record. And it sucks to say that, because Bonds is one of my idols back when I was a little kid. But it's the truth, and I think 50 game suspensions. I think there should be a little bit more. I think there should be 70 games, 75, because with the severity of being caught, it's a disgrace to yourself. It's a disgrace to your team, and it's a disgrace to your family. You're playing for your family, and you're playing for your team, playing for your family. You're playing for everyone you know in your entire life. But then testing positive, being suspended for something stupid, and deciding to do drugs, it's a disgrace. I'll say it again. It's a disgrace in baseball.
I have to agree with you. I mean, you can't just do this. I mean, it's not going to be caught. More often, you are going to get caught for this type of stuff. Testosterone levels, and then you see Bartolo Colon and the A's getting suspended.
I agree.
It's really sad that these players do this. Yogi Berra's having one of his greatest seasons, and then something bad has to happen to him. It's really, and then Bartolo Colon, he's having an alright season, but it's still like, hey, you gotta stop doing that. I still think Braun should have served his 50-game suspension.
Oh no! Are you kidding me? We're starting to.
Yes.
No.
Why should Ryan Braun?
Okay, let me state my opinion on this. Ryan Braun won the National League Major MVP
So
because
that
of the
doesn't matter.
regular. Okay, because of the regular season. Okay, he got caught during the playoffs. So
The playoffs is a crucial time.
How are you supposed to say? Okay, if you won the World Series MVP and the suspension didn't get overturned, I would agree and say you should take away the World Series MVP or the NLCS MVP if that ever happened. But it didn't happen, and since it got overturned. But when he got suspended 50 games, it was when he was in the playoffs.
The playoffs is a huge deal. You see and you don't understand.
I know.
What if all the pitchers were taking like drugs during the playoffs?
Okay.
Okay, so do you think they should like?
Okay, I know the playoffs are a big deal. Okay, exclude the fact that they had like a shipping problem that was mainly the reason why the testing results didn't come in right. Robert, the regular season MVP does not correspond to anything in the playoffs. If you're tested positive in the playoffs, during the playoffs, that means you had to take it before the playoffs to be really good. You couldn't have possibly taken it during the regular season because Major League, I don't know how many drug tests they take daily or weekly or even monthly. I think that the MVP should have been, if he got really suspended, I think they should have let him still have it. I know that wouldn't be the best MVP that Ryan Braun will ever get, but he still won it because of his efforts in the regular season and getting the Brewers to another playoffs.
Well, I'm not saying like during the regular season he didn't take it and he had a really great season, but the playoffs you still have to serve that. I mean, playoffs are the crucialest time in MLB. Overturned. Well, what if the Brewers did make the World Series and he was taking it during the whole playoffs?
That's a situation that never happened. I brought up the situation, so there's a scenario, but since that never happened and he got overturned, it seems like none of this ever happened. And then they bring up Melky Cabrera in the same like sentence with Ryan Braun. That doesn't make any sense at all. Ryan Braun didn't have to serve his suspension. Melky Cabrera is serving his suspension. Now, if you want to talk about Bartolo Colon, we can put him in the same sentence with Melky Cabrera as suspended players, especially from the Bay Area, and it's upsetting to me that that's the case this year. Bartolo Colon is having one of his better seasons, not his best seasons. He won the Cy Young when he was at the Angels, and I think it was 2005. He was a 21-game winner that season, and then Melky Cabrera is having the best season of his life. He's a career 270 batter, so I think it was a little bit suspicious after I saw the career batting average before the season ever started. A 270 career batting average and now 351 batting average is kind of suspicious in my opinion. Then some people are thinking Joaquin Arias is after that 5 RBI night that he had against the Dodgers, is he juicing? Everybody's so like pointing fingers very quickly. They're being very credulous. That is the main word for main word for the show tonight. The word of the day.